Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 53-year-old from St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. His hockey journey has taken him to Canada, the USA, and the Netherlands. A staple with the St. John's Junior Celtics. He was the
Huh.
MVP of the league with the University of PEI, ran amok of the East Coast Hockey League as a player with the Columbus Chill, as a player coach with the Chesapeake Icebreakers, and as a coach with a bunch of teams en route to the ECHL Hall of Fame. He was too good at coaching, so he moved into the scouting game for a challenge, ran amok with the Penguins for 14 seasons, and won 3 Stanley Cups. But he is best known for his time with the Daytona Beach Bombers of Ohio and taking the ragtag Bombers all the way to the Kelly Cup finals. Welcome to the shed, Derek Clancey.
Great, glad to be here.
Hey,
Glad to
thanks
be
for
here.
doing this, my man.
Yeah,
It's been
absolutely.
I get into how we know each other. I don't think I've seen you since
You've
2007.
done your homework on me, obviously.
Oh yeah, the research team was hot.
That's
uh,
great.
but yeah, I think I haven't seen you since I guess probably my exit meeting in Daytona
Yeah,
Beach.
yeah, yeah. Until you go to Europe, play hockey, make some money.
You remember that? That's on my notes of one of the things
Yeah,
of how we know each other is I
yeah,
remember in that exit meeting, you were like, "What's next?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know if I like this East Coast grind, right?"
yeah, yeah,
And you said, "I think the player you are, where you're at in your career, your age, you should go to Europe, right?"
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's
And I
just
did.
hard. It's hard, and you did. Yeah, I hope you had fun over there.
If
I'm sure you had a great career over there.
you listen to the first 192 episodes, I had a pretty good time. So yeah, no, I did. I enjoyed it much more. When I went to Germany and we played 2 games a week, and it was a 48 game season, and
Yeah,
it was my body after that year in Dayton when we went all the way to the finals. I think I
yeah,
played that year 100 games, and my
yeah,
body was ruined.
yeah. It was a long year. It was a long year on and off the ice, as you would know.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
fact that we even got that far was credit to you guys that he just kept plugging away and
Well,
got
no,
some
I think
bounces and
we didn't have the most talented squad in the league, but I
oh,
think
uh,
your attention to detail on defense and like when I got there that year, I've told the story out here many times. I didn't know how to play D zone. What I had learned at college was not what you do in pro. Cost me in Syracuse, but then when I got down to Dayton, it wasn't like you can't do this, you're just giving up on me. You took the time to teach everybody proper way, stick on puck, where to be. In the AHL, if you couldn't do it when you got there, you were just done. They didn't teach.
yeah, yeah. Teaching, even the same now. It's because the NHL's gotten so young, because of the way that our cap area. I mean, it's just guys get their so good hockey players, if they're really cheap money wise, and you get them in the lineup because you need them for everything to work. And you, you still got to teach them. They don't know yet. They're 21 years old and they're playing in the NHL or 19 or 19, and it's like
You need a
they're really
good
good.
teacher, right? Yeah.
NHLs just don't. They're not there yet. So it's hard because NHL's winning. The American League is more about teaching, but I think even back then
It wasn't about
kind of
teaching
it was
back then,
kind of
really.
yeah, it kind of wasn't like that. It was kind of get out there and play, and your ice time was supposed to let you evolve into a player without any instruction. You had to
Yeah.
figure it out yourself, right? So
Yeah, and you get yelled at if you weren't doing it right. But do you
yeah,
know I get into how we know each other? I was an under 11 concurrent Canuck coach last season, and the way I taught the fellas,
yeah,
they hadn't played any 5-on-5 with positions yet because of all the baloney. And the start of the season, I taught D zone, painted the ice, just like back
absolutely,
at the Nutter Center. I
absolutely,
still remember it. That was your trick. And you know what?
yeah,
When you taught me D zone and you
yeah,
painted the ice at the Nutter Center, one of my
yeah,
first practices in the East Coast, and
yeah,
you're like, Wally, this is your area. If the
yeah,
puck's over there, you go to this right here.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and then stick on puck, stay in the lane. And you're like, that's all you gotta do. I'm like,
yeah.
shut up. That's all I gotta do.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you got Adam Burkholz behind you. But anyways,
yeah,
no, that painting the ice, I kept that with me all these years, and now I did that. So thanks for the lesson.
yeah, yeah. Well, He said we didn't have the most talented team, but we had enough talent. We had a good bunch of guys. Um, like to have fun, and they came to work most days, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
but when we had Berkey in that, I kind of took the approach of we got a really good goalie.
yeah,
We're going to protect him.
yeah,
He's going to keep us in a lot of games, and we have enough scoring to win. And that's kind of how we did it, right?
yeah.
So you
And
guys
Yannick
played
Tifu was pretty hot that season.
Yannick Teef. Oh my God! By the time I had with him, he was a struggle. I loved him, but he was a struggle. He was can't do that. Okay, next shift, do it again.
Yeah.
Can't do that. You can't do that. Yeah, but I saw him in Reading years after the fact. I came down to watch a game there, and he was playing. I didn't know he was there. He was playing. I walked in the room. He was there, and I was like, "Oh my God!" So he's very tearing up Reading at the time.
What?
But
And he got his jersey retired there. I had him on here.
yeah, what a talent he was.
Yeah,
What a
and
what a good guy.
Greasy would take it right to the net,
Oh
like
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
care. Oh yeah.
Super talented. Love to have fun. Love to play.
It was quite the squad we had. We could name some of the fellows, like Miser. He's
Yeah,
a dandy
Miser,
too.
Misey. Bad news bears. That's how I viewed it. But it worked. It worked.
Yeah, it did. And then it was like some guys couldn't get sticks and all
Yeah,
that. It was
that was hard. I remember the day we were painting the ice. When I started doing that, I remember Don Cadam, obviously, he was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, just stand over there. Just let me do what I got to do. And after he's like, oh, makes sense. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely.
you know what I thought you did for me that year? You played me with Miser and Joe Cullen all year. I wouldn't say we were a high flying scoring line, but we played against a lot of the other team's top lines. And I think that season I went from being like, the first line college kid that didn't know how to play defense. I think after that year, I could play up and down the lineup and it extended my career. So cheers.
Well, I mean, that line was great. I thought. I mean, you had all the pieces. You had a scorer. You had a heavy guy on the other side. And then I thought Coley was such a good 200-foot player.
He did everything. He could score.
Details that he helped both you guys, and it all kind of mixed together. And yeah, some nights you guys dominated the games. I mean, it was pretty easy for you guys some nights.
It was a fun year, and who would have thunk we'd beat Florida in the semifinals? That was a wild series.
I remember when we were up 3-2, right, and they tied it 3-3, I think it was, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's no way we can do it now." Yeah, I'm going like, "There's no way we can do this now."
Yeah, in Florida.
In Florida, and that game, I thought you guys pretty much dominated start, other than maybe a minute here or there. You guys controlled it from start to finish.
I thought it was I thought it was one of the best hockey series I was ever a part of. Yeah.
And they were so talented. They were so skilled. Wow.
Actually a story for that night. You told us not to drink too much because we were going to the finals and we were pretty excited. And I might have overconsumed a little bit, right?
That's all right.
But I remember at the bar that night, somebody from their organization, like a scout, came up to me to say I had played a great series and that they'd want to talk. And I was just enjoying the night and having so much fun. When I told my agent the next day, he's like, "Well, who was it?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Wait, which team was he with?" Because they were with two teams. I'm like, I don't know that.
I don't know. Back burner. I'm having fun. Leave me alone.
Yeah, we got the finals ahead. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That was a fun night though in Florida.
It was a good night. It was a great series. I mean, it was such a exhausting series, but when we got through it like that, it was such a what a relief. And you guys should have had fun.
I may or may not have.
I think everyone had fun pretty much.
Both teams did because it was such a great series. We ended up at the Florida Everblades apartments with them, Miser and I, and there may or may not have been refs there who happened to drive us back to the hotel later. So it was a fun night.
Yeah, can't make it up.
But yeah, that was my rookie season. Do you remember? I got a couple stories from that year still of how we know each other. Do you remember when the emergency goalie came to a practice and his testicle exploded?
No, I don't remember that.
No, his nut was hanging out the bottom of his jock and he took a slapper off it.
No, who was it?
He was a local guy from around Dayton. He was just there to help us in practice.
I do remember him. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, I remember him.
That's a tough bounce to come help the boys out and then lose a testicle over it.
That's a tough day going back to work.
Yeah, sure is. But I guess we never did pull her out there in the finals, eh?
Yeah. That's my fault. I changed the system. You guys
Well,
want
I
to
thought
play?
we kind of just like we had
You
worked really
guys,
hard to get to that point, and I think like Burkle was pretty banged up by the end,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I think we
yeah,
all were the way we played and
yeah,
how we got there.
yeah. You won the first game, and then I kind of gave you guys a little leeway in game two, and I should have. I know you guys wanted a little more freedom to kind of go and loosen up a little bit, and I was like, you know what, maybe we should change it. Maybe it'll give them a hard time adjusting to us too, right? Changing our system. I look back, I should have stayed the course until they beat us our
Well,
way.
I thought
But
they played a
eh,
very similar game to us. They just
yes,
had a little bit more grit and a little bit more talent. They just
Alan,
were
I
a little
agree.
bit better than
I
us, I think.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree.
punks.
I would agree.
That Nesbitt that was on the other team, he's had a hell of a career. He just hung him
Yeah,
up, eh?
yeah. That was a good player. They had good players. They were big too. They had a heavy team.
Okay, so anyways, we could do more Daytona Beach stuff
Yeah,
later, but we lived in
yeah.
the same apartment complex.
Yes,
I
yes,
got a question before we get into your whole career. How old
yeah.
were you that year? Were you low 30s?
I was probably mid 30s, maybe mid 30s.
Was there a few days that year that were a struggle for you? Like, what am I
Lots of
doing with
days.
my life?
Lots of days. Yeah, a lot of the days. I wanted to quit 4 or 5 times, to be honest with you. And some of that was off ice stuff that was going on. Like I wanted to come in, and so I wanted to come in for the year as coach. Like LA was still paying me, and I was kind of like, I don't want to sit home and wait. I want to coach. So Don had asked me to come in and help. I want to coach the team. So I was like, you know what, I'll do it. I'll come in and coach. And then I started doing it. And then, like you said, guys couldn't get sticks. Guys were looking for laces, and some of the stuff that went on, I would just kind of sat there some days and went like, what am I doing here?
Right.
But then we kept winning, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, I kind of, if you weren't winning, I probably would have left. But then I felt like I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. Kind of
I
thing.
couldn't imagine if you wouldn't have been there, what it would have been.
And so I was like, but I mean, look back on it now, it was quite an experience. It was fun, but there was a lot of trying days, how things were
Yeah.
done.
Well, you're not in the age bracket to have Instagram, I don't think. So the stuff I
No,
post, I don't think you saw. But
no.
I posted that you're the most influential coach of my career.
Oh,
And
really?
I find it
Oh,
well, you taught me how to play defense.
yeah,
Bro, if you can't do it, you can't play.
yeah,
And you taught me how to do D zone. It's actually way easier than I would have thought. You just need someone
yeah.
to you.
Show it to you.
But then like you wouldn't let me put it between my legs or do spinaroonies or all of my
Yeah,
fancy stuff. But like
yeah,
once I learned to play your way and then I started sprinkling that stuff in again,
yeah,
I could
yeah,
do both, right?
yeah,
And
yeah. Give me one
no,
part. You can have the other part. Just give
but
me the other part.
there was off ice stuff too that you taught me that like we didn't talk much. I wasn't one of your jock sniffers that was trying to talk to you every
No,
day at
no,
practice. I
no. You
just did
weren't.
my thing, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there was a couple times we talk and I would listen. And one of them was after rookie party. The morning after rookie party, we had a time, right?
yeah, yeah,
Everybody knows what happens at an East Coast rookie
yeah,
party.
yeah,
So we had
yeah,
a time and you were working out before practice and or you're doing your bike ride and we're
yeah,
chatting before we go on. You said, Wally, in your career, there's days like this. The coach doesn't care how fast you're skating. He does not care how hard you're cutting into the ice. He cares if you can stick handle and pass and make play, like make
yeah,
good passes and don't screw up the drills.
yeah,
Right. And he's like,
yeah,
if you can do that, the coach is going to be fine. I took
yeah,
that with me in my career.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was great the next day at
yeah,
practice.
absolutely. Yeah, you're going to do it. You got to show up the next day and just
You got to
go
be a
through everything
pro.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get through the day, come back and go back to work the next day. 100%.
And the other thing was another quote you gave me was I showed up at the Nutter Center and you're just a coach now. You weren't a player coach anymore. And you
Yeah,
were running the stairs like a lot.
yeah, yeah,
And I said to you, I'm like, Clance, what are you doing? You're not even a hockey player anymore. What are you? And you're like, I have to look like a pro. I have to look like a hockey guy. I'm
yeah,
trying to make it to the NHL as a
yeah,
coach. And you
yeah.
said, I can't look like Ken Hitchcock until I've done what Ken Hitchcock has done.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's all a part of it, man.
It is a
I'm
part
still
of it. I think my body held me back a few times.
yeah, it's still a battle every day. It's still a battle, but
Mm-hmm.
it gets harder and harder. But you know what? It is. I mean, people want want you to be respectable and look professional, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to do it. I didn't want to, believe me, I didn't want to do it, but
Mhm.
what are you gonna do?
It's weird how like the kids nowadays, they like working out. Like my
Oh yeah,
son's coming up learning how to like working out. I never learned that. I didn't learn to
oh
like working out.
no, we stretch the groins, do a little like this, and then okay, let's go.
Let's
Now
roll.
it's like
Yeah.
now we're getting kids 13, 14. They got workout programs, they got skating coaches, they got mental coaches, and it's like
What's
they're
too much?
way ahead. They're way ahead of the game, but it's way too much.
Right.
Like way
Yeah.
too much. Go play baseball in the summer. Just get away for a few months.
You gotta I think to really make it and to really have it once you become an adult, it's all
Yeah,
about you. It's not about how
yeah,
much your parents took you to stuff. You
yeah,
need to have that drive. And
yeah,
if you do too much at too young of an age, when it comes 15, 16, when it's really go time,
yeah, yeah.
you're not going to have that extra gear that the other kids that have been dying to play, right?
No, no, you gotta love it. And to me, if you're doing it too much,
Right.
you don't love. You just, I think you love it less too soon.
If you do it
It's
too much. I know.
it's a biz.
Honestly, it's
It's
like when I started playing in Dayton and you start
yeah,
playing 100 games a year. By the end of that season, you ain't having that much fun playing hockey.
no. I mean, it's when it becomes a business too soon in your life,
Yeah.
you kind of
It's got to
sway
be
the
for
wrong
the
way
love.
too soon.
You got to do
Yeah,
it for the love.
you gotta love the game,
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Anyways, okay, moving on. That was all how we know each other. Better get into this. Where and what are you doing now?
I'm the assistant GM for the Vancouver Canucks
Holy moly, fancy
currently.
pants.
And I've had a long journey to get there, but yeah, so now I'm doing that role for Vancouver. It's been great. I went in there middle of December of last year. Jim Rutherford got hired, obviously brought me in.
Sorry, who did?
Jim Rutherford.
Okay. Oh yeah, because you were
Yeah,
with him in Pittsburgh, right?
right. Yeah, Jim and I were together in Pittsburgh, so he brought me in when he went in there in December, and then so we've been kind of, obviously it wasn't in a good place at the time. That's why new people come in. So we're just going through the process of kind of restructuring things, and we got a great staff now, and we got a big group, and everyone plays their part. And so I'm on the road finding players and just finding the right kind of guys and our
So
staff.
that's what you do because I know there's like some teams have different setups of what an assistant GM does, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's just many different roles for an AGM. Some guys are the cap guys, some guys there's multiple
Yeah.
guys, obviously, and so
Your
it's been
talent is
good. I mean,
finding guys though, right? That's more
yeah,
your
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah. No, I went in first. I kind of evaluate the organization, people, their scouts, and all kind of stuff. And after a few months of that, we hired more people. We kind of handed that over. Jim wanted me out on the road finding players, and so I've been doing that now since early February. I'm kind of getting in the amateur, the pro, and kind of going back and forth. And it's been good. It's been busy. It's been busy. Lots of travel, going back and forth to Europe and everything. But
So basically, the way I'm looking at then is when you were the director of pro scouting, you're
yeah,
just in charge of the pro scouting, but then you're
yeah,
gonna go relay that to the assistant GM and GM of what you're seeing. Now you got that guy below you plus the amateur guy.
yeah, yeah. So we have other people obviously in our management group, but so I work with those guys kind of out on the road and
Yeah.
communicate. You talk. You're trying to make sure that they understand what kind of players we want as an organization, what they're looking for.
I got a question then. What is it? Because I got it written down here somewhere on my notes because I know personally what I'd be looking for in an organization.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you be more into like talking to them in an interview and like figuring out what they're about, their intangibles on the ice or their genetics? Hmm? Hmm? That's a deep question in the shed, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of everything, to be honest
I
with you.
knew you were gonna say a mix of everything.
It's well, because I mean, like for me, that's just
It
me
is though.
personally. This is me personally. I mean, for me, it's hockey sense is a big part of a successful player.
Yeah.
Compete level. You want size. You can find size, and it's a smaller guy. He's got to be special. I mean, you're just trying to. For me, it's a puzzle, right? And all the pieces got to fit. Much like Dayton, pieces got to fit. No matter how you might look and think it is, if the pieces fit, you're going to win games. And so you try to find those guys. And, a third line guy is different than a second line guy as far as their ingredients, what that player is sometimes. But through all that, you want character, good worker, good teammate. Those things are musts with the other things that go in with different roles, right? A fourth line center and a first line center are different.
Yeah.
Right. So,
And I find it interesting when I watch the NHL a bit, like the contract wise business side, right? Because, I did become a master of business out of hockey,
yeah.
So I like to figure that stuff out as well. But like nowadays in the NHL, just based on their contracts, like, who's on the power play, who's on the second line, who's on the third line. You already know before training camp. I remember back in the day, you'd go to training camp and everybody had somewhat of a shot of making the team. That's not really the case anymore.
No, I think most teams, I mean, due to the contract situation, I mean, you got star players or your second star player. I mean, they're on the team. They're making $7 million a year or 7 years. They're going to play on your team. But
yeah,
normally you're always looking for, some young guys come in and start on the fourth line, and by 2 months in, they're playing on the second or third line, and a guy gets moved down and it works, but he's cheap, and the guy's making $7 million. You want him on the second line, but the other guy's outplaying him, so he's down on the third line. As long as it fits, it's good. But I mean, yeah, typically your bottom end players, which are still good players, but your grinders and your checkers, they're the guys that are kind of interchangeable.
Yeah,
yearly, right? And
those are the ones you're probably out there grinding to find, right?
Yeah, like you want to
those
find
are
the right
those
ones.
guys can be the difference, right? And winning a
Absolutely.
championship.
Your bottom six, everyone needs stars to win, but your bottom six players play such a important role. You watch a playoff game. Very
you
often,
need all four lines, right?
The third line to score in the big goal, and it's 2-2 late in the third. Because it's the top six watch themselves out, right?
Yeah,
talent against talent. They're going to score. But your
and then come
six,
playoffs, I think character wins out a lot.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I thought there's a lot of characters at date that year. There were though, like that, like everybody was there for the right reasons. And like our captain Lubinsky,
he was great.
He was a gamer.
Yeah, he was all business. He was good.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
Okay. So I got a question then with all the scouting you did, and obviously you did a pretty good job for old Jimmy there. Yeah. What did you have a couple good finds early out of coaching? Like when you first became a scout, were there any guys that you're like, yeah, I found him?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but
no, because you didn't pick me out at Daytona Beach. I saw you take Burkle and Lane Manson, and I was like, the guy tells me to go to Europe, gets a job with Pittsburgh, takes two of my buddies and not me. I'm out of here.
Well, Berkey was pretty good. And we brought Manson.
Berkey was an obvious one. Like the guy took us to the finals. Yeah.
He wanted some toughness to Wilkes-Barre, so I brought Manson to give him a chance, and I didn't work out for him. But yeah, it's it's a grind when you're trying to find players like that. I mean, it's so important. Like I said, I thought Dayton, when we started winning, everyone bought in. Right, and then once everyone bought in, we were hard. We were down 3-1 to Cincinnati.
Yeah,
and we came back and beat them in 7 games. Right, I mean, you just can't. Like, good teams do that. Bad teams don't do that. You know what I mean?
You don't come back from 3-1 if you don't deep down care about each other.
I think we had 2 of the 3 games were in Cincinnati. I think.
Well, I think a lot of guys that were the age we were at and are in the East Coast. You get down 3-1 to Cincinnati and you're living in Daytona Beach, Ohio. Yeah. You can just let that go. You can go on summer break. You can be done.
You pack it in.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like that, those guys, everyone bought in. I mean, it's a special group in many different ways.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Many different ways.
Yeah.
A lot of characters. Yeah.
A lot of characters. So can we bring up Paul Kelly and his farting?
But
I mean, his farting at practice was outrageous.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. He wouldn't stop.
No, he would skate by the line. We'd be doing a flow drill. He'd just go by the boys.
And he'd come by me. I'd be standing at center ice. He'd come by me. I'd be like, Kel's like, come on. Can't help it. Can't help it. We can't help it. Can't help it. I'm like, all right. And he kept doing it. He never stopped. He never stopped
farting.
No. He never stopped.
No, but it would be before practice, it'd be on the ice, and it'd be after practice. He would smell so bad.
It never stopped.
but he could
Uh,
play. Like he did.
he,
Did you know he was our top scorer of the playoffs? The research
yeah,
team saw.
yeah, he was a good player. He was big. He had a lot of good qualities.
He did.
Just never caught. He never got a break.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So, anyways, it's really cool. You got the opportunity. With Vancouver. I
yeah,
guess so for me, it's weird, right? People always wonder who I cheer for, and I'm like, well,
yeah,
I cheer for people, not really
yeah,
teams.
yeah,
So like I'm pretty sure I'm a Vancouver fan now that you're
yeah,
there. So
yeah. That's
you
good.
know, yeah,
Yeah,
like I'd rather cheer for my
well,
buddies than the actual
yeah.
teams
We'll
or
take them all.
organizations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the fans we can get. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, anyways, so you're enjoying it out there then, eh?
yeah, that's good.
It's
Yeah,
interesting in the hockey world, though. You always know somebody, and people always want their guys with them, right? Same as in the
yeah,
real world. You want
yeah.
your guys with you, right?
Well,
Someone takes over, they want to bring their guys with them, right?
yeah, you want people to trust. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It's
I
way
mean,
easier.
it's a very vicious business. Obviously, as the higher you go, I mean, it's big money and it's vicious. But I mean, people want people they trust around
Yeah,
them,
for
right?
sure.
So
Yeah.
luckily, Jim felt that way with me.
Okay. Poster picks. You guys, you won the Stanley Cup 3 times. You have 3 Stanley Cup rings.
Yeah.
What'd you do with your day with the Stanley Cup?
First time I brought it home to Newfoundland, and obviously had my family enjoy it a little bit. And I brought it around. I brought it to a couple of high schools where my niece and nephew were, I think. I brought it to one of the children's hospitals for a couple hours. I brought it down to a little meeting place for people to come in, friends and family to come in and get pictures and
Yeah.
see it and everything. And then, the first time I went through it, before you know it, like,
It's gone.
time's gone. You're kind of go like,
I didn't even get to have fun with it.
I didn't even have fun with it. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I saw Ryan
after that,
O'Reilly kind of do the same thing around here. I went to his thing where you take the
yeah,
photo with him, with the
yeah,
family, and I'm like,
yeah,
man, he's booking some hours here with his
yeah,
day with the cup.
yeah.
Like, you'd think you'd want to enjoy that for a bit.
Well, you know what? You know what ends up happening is you win it, and you're trying to let everybody else enjoy it,
Right.
right? And that's kind of what
Yeah.
you're trying to do. But then the second or third time, I had a small little thing for people, but I just brought it home, put it on the table, had a few people, and that was it.
That
Sat there,
sounds
and,
like a great night.
yeah, sat there and had told the story, staring at it a little bit. And that was really it, but it was good. Like I had my time with it. You know what I mean? Just kind of sat there and like looked at it, and
So
pretty good.
I
It was pretty good.
gotta know. It's burning me because I forget who else had on from the Dayton year. And we both agreed you were our best coach. And
Oh,
then you never coached again.
yeah. I never thought, you know what's funny? I think about it all the time. When I walked off the ice that year for the last time, I never envisioned. I haven't seen my skates since. I
Yeah.
have not put a pair of skates on, period. And I think about that, and I kind of go like, I never ever thought that would have been the case when I left that year. And I've had a lot of people tell me what they think I'm good at. You know what I mean? Like what they're, but deep down for me, I think all the things I've done in hockey, I think for me, I feel like coaching has been my best. If
Yeah.
I had to pick one thing, I think as a coach, I help whatever whatever the word is, but
I think you can affect people's lives more as a coach, right?
yeah, yeah. So, but I mean, I can't. I mean, I've had a pretty good run since I left Dayton, obviously, and
Right.
you know what? And I almost went back to Dayton. Actually, I didn't want to go back, but there's a group of people there around the team that were really kind of pushing to bring me back as a coach, and they were kind of doing things behind the scenes that.
I'm pretty
And
sure I was chatting with you that year on the
yeah,
bus. We didn't
yeah,
talk much, but one time we were chatting and you were like, I got offered the Johnstown Chiefs job.
yeah, and I really didn't want to go there.
No.
But I wanted to coach, and I went back and forth, and then this job came up, scouting in Pittsburgh, and it would happen really quick.
So how do you know that comes up? Like it
Well, a friend of mine called, and we're no different. When I grew up, I wanted to play in the NHL.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to coach in the NHL. But my end game was I wanted to be in the NHL,
right.
right? So my goals changed as I went. My focus never changed, but my goals shifted as I went. I probably should have hung on to coaching a little longer, maybe. I think I would have been. I would have gotten a chance to move.
You
Move
took
on.
us to the finals, dude.
Yeah, but I mean,
you taught me how to play defense.
So yeah, it was. I still miss coaching a little bit. I scout that way as a coach. I mean, I sit there and watch players, and I kind of think, I was standing behind the bench. Would I want that guy sitting in front of me on the bench or no? Like,
Right.
you watch his habits and how he plays the game. Like, I want to tap that guy on the shoulder, or like, no, that guy I don't want. You know what I mean? It helps me process the
For
player.
sure it would. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. Yeah,
I find one guy did this way back when he went around a new team and kind of said how we all played after a weekend away together. We
Yeah.
had a team trip, and then he went around the team and told us all how we played hockey. And from that day on, I think by looking at a hockey player walk and talk, and like I get him in here and I chat with him, I think I can tell you exactly how he plays hockey based on his personality and how they walk and talk.
yeah, maybe. I mean, there's definitely the old hockey play. I mean, there's
I
guys
could
that are
tell you,
hockey.
I could tell you how you played.
There's
I've never
guys that are
seen you
hockey
play.
players. How I play. Tell me how I play.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
ready?
yeah,
Okay. You were a centerman, two-way,
yeah,
but a little feisty bugger out there.
yeah,
You well, you acted tougher, you know, but you were still
yeah,
kind of perimeter. You were still
yeah,
dusted off on the half
yeah,
wall.
yeah,
But then the odd time you'd show the boys like, hey, look how much I care. And you dropped the mitts for the boys, even though you're one of the little fellas.
yeah, yeah,
How'd I do?
yeah. Pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah. I mean, as I got older, I took more pride in my game, my 200-foot game, and
Yeah.
that requires a little more compete, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Um,
You were more worried
yeah,
about the points early on, eh?
yeah. Well,
Flash and dash, were you?
you're trying to get up, right? You're trying to
Well,
get to
and
the
you're,
next level.
yeah, for sure.
So then you realize then you're watching guys get called up around you. You're kind of going like, hang on here, I got 90 points, and he's got 30. What?
And he's
What?
going up.
And then you realize, then you start figuring out how it actually works, and and then you kind of adjust your mindset, and you know what? It made me a better coach probably because the last 4 years I played, I was a player assistant coach, and I was a part of the process as a player too, and I learned a lot. You know how to deal with players and
For
what not
sure.
to do, when to be hard, when to be soft, and yeah, it's all good.
Speaking of when to be hard, when to be soft, that's another way if I had how we know each other. Is that season in Dayton. I'm a rookie.
Yeah,
Don't know anything about pro. I was very naive about how pro works, about
yeah,
all of it, right? You say how it
yeah,
all works. I
yeah,
knew nothing,
yeah,
nothing from small
yeah,
town Ontario.
yeah,
But when we were about to do video, I remember it was at that shitty practice rink we'd go
yeah,
to, and you
yeah,
pulled me aside before we did video as a team, and you said, "Hey, Wally, there's usually a guy on the team every year that like I think can handle it. I think you can handle it." And you're like, "I'm gonna give it to you in video
yeah,
this year." And I'm
yeah,
like, "Well, at least you told me, and I know what
yeah,
it's really about." And you're like, "I'm gonna
yeah,
use you to teach the
yeah,
team." And I'm like,
yeah,
"Okay." And it
yeah,
worked.
yeah. I mean, I
Then you
think as
don't
long
get
as
all sour about it. If you would have
no, as
started
long as
just rinsing me, I would have been pissed.
absolutely. I think as long as you're honest with people and tell them and why you're doing. I mean, it was constructive. I was making points with the video, but as long as the player understands, no one likes it. Even if you know,
Well,
you're sitting
but for
there.
me, if you're explaining it to me why I'm
Yeah,
supposed to be doing something different,
yeah,
I'm fine with it. But if I
yeah,
disagree and I still feel like I should do the same thing again, that's when
yeah,
I want to talk about it.
yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and players should, because if players don't understand why they're doing something, very, very seldom
You
get invested in doing it.
you need to
Right? Like,
buy in, right? You need to
how they, yeah,
agree you
but,
should do it. Yeah.
yeah, but this, and yeah, but that, and yeah, but no,
Yeah.
just do this. This is
Right.
why, and you'll be better for it.
Another
So
thing I learned that year, now that my memories are flooding back, it was talking to you and Adam Burkholz during a
yeah,
game. And I had never heard this one before either. Was you guys told me to get out of the way and not block a shot because I
yeah,
was too close to. I wasn't far enough out
too deep.
that yeah, too deep.
Yeah, you're
So
too
he
deep.
told me and you told me to actually get out of the way. And the way
Yeah,
I was raised and brought up was you always try block the shot.
yeah, no, no. Like it's like if you're gonna block it, you better block it.
Right.
So
Don't
give the
think I did
goalie a
that
chance.
time.
Give the goalie a chance to stop it. So if the tighter you're the goalie, it doesn't work, and Berkey would lose his mind,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he want, as all goalies do, they want to make the save.
They
And
want to stop every shot. He
exactly.
really did. Yeah.
So and he was really good at that. Like I think he and I used to talk daily about.
He was a smart hockey guy, right?
Yeah, so we would talk. I mean, I think I catered to him probably more than anybody because, I wanted him to be happy.
Yeah.
Obviously, his game justified it. Like I designed practices around what he wanted that day. I would ask him about the players, like, what do you want them to do? What do you want these guys to do? Give them the shot, get down, block, and he would tell me, and I'd be okay.
Yeah.
We're all in.
Well,
It worked.
it did work. And like when goalies tell guys where to be in the defensive zone, it helps, right? Because they see more than we do, right? We're trying to help.
Well, it's accountability. It's accountability. And when they tell you what to do, when you do it and they score, they can't go,
Right.
you're in the way.
And the goalies also are the first ones to know they could tell if the guy actually tried to block the shot or if he was just out of the way. Yeah.
I kind of faked it. We all did that.
Yeah. And everybody saw it.
We all did that. Yeah.
Everybody saw it.
I did that a few times too.
Regular season, right? East Coast.
Yeah.
Tough to get down every time. There's a lot of games. A lot of games.
Tuesday night in Roanoke, you just don't want to do it.
Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, 3-3. It's like,
no,
don't go by me.
Okay. I've got to get into this. We got to get going. You're probably tired from all your traveling today. So you weren't you just somewhere or?
Yeah, I was in Red Deer, Alberta. Got this morning about the Helinka, watching most of the draft kids coming this year. All the top kids were there. Most of them, not all of them, but.
Well, here's another cutting edge question then is, I hate watching video. Yeah. How much better is it watching them live and traveling all the way there than watching it on video? Because you could have just stayed at home and watched it on video.
Yeah, live's way better. I mean, you just see all the aspects of the game. You see behind the play, you see the guys cheating, how he goes to the bench, how he comes off the bench, how he talks to the coach.
Yeah,
all the little things that you look for in players, all the little details. Beside the player, there's lots of good players, but
it's all the other things.
You gotta go past the talent, check out the character. Is he open to the bench because he didn't get his way, and that kind of stuff. I mean, you want to build a good organization, you want character people, and the more of those you have, the better off. Like you said, when you pay the price and play with details, you get more bounces than you don't. When you get more bounces, you kind of win more games, right? You got to earn them the right way.
See, folks, this is why it's my favorite coach. What you say is exactly how I thought of hockey. And I thought that year in Dayton taught me how I knew how to be a winner in junior B.
Yeah.
College, we were brutal.
Yeah.
So I had no chance of knowing how to be a winner. But, that stuff creeped in about, well, I got to get my points and get to the next level because this team ain't getting me there because we're not going to go win the national championship. I better be getting some numbers.
Right.
Right. And so anyways, then I got to pro. I thought that year taught me how to win at the pro level. I remember being in Florida and we're going to like the third overtime and man, we were so tired. There were guys cramping. It was a mess. It was so hot.
Yeah.
But we figured out, like, we knew how to win. We just ran into a team we couldn't beat.
They were good. Yeah.
But it takes a certain type of people to win championships, I think.
100%. 100%. I think we were good enough to win. I think we ran out of gas. I think our track to get there was a lot harder than Boise's, right?
Yeah.
So we had to come back with 3-1. Florida was a really good team.
I think winning that first game too after we had beat Florida, I think that there was a bit too much comfort after that.
Yeah. I think Lab scored in overtime, didn't he?
I don't remember, but we won.
I think Lab scored in overtime, one game too. 2-0. Here we go.
But then we didn't go up 2-0. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anywho, so growing up I got two more questions about your poster picks. Gosh darn it. Yeah. Newfoundland Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That was cool, eh? How'd you find out you got nominated for that? You're in you're in 2 Hall of Fames. You're in the East Coast too.
Yeah. I didn't know about I got a call one morning that I was elected to the Hall of Fame, and it's kind of, you're kind of caught off guard. You're like, what? Really? So, obviously somebody nominated me. I didn't know who it was. Someone nominated me and I got elected, but it was, it's quite an honor. Obviously, it's the things you don't think about, and then kind of try not to think about it. It's okay. But after a while, it sinks in. You're kind of like, it's a pretty special honor, obviously, to be your provincial Hall of Fame. And
well, I think it's really neat because when I talk around in my shed and you talk about character, and I did end up winning a bunch of shit. Okay, just so you know.
Yeah. I believe you.
But anyways, the guys I talked to in my shed, a lot of them are getting jerseys retired. Yeah. They're getting banners put up in arenas, and it's cool at the end of your career that people appreciate what you
Yeah.
did out there.
Yeah, 100%. It's a real honor, like you said, people actually think enough of you to elect you to a Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like what you've done and stuff. So, yeah, it's funny because when I got inducted, the night we were in the finals against Nashville in say it was 17 maybe. Our second of our back to back, and Friday night was the induction ceremony. I couldn't make it. I was in Nashville. So I got my family had went for me. I got inducted on a Friday night. I won my third Stanley Cup on a Saturday night. I was going like, it's a pretty good weekend.
Pretty good weekend. That's a
Not
solid
many,
weekend.
I think not many guys do that. Do they go to the Hall of Fame one night, win the Stanley Cup the next night. I was sitting next to Billy Guerin on the flight home.
Not from Newfoundland, I don't think.
Oh, so I sat down on the flight next to Billy Guerin. He said to me, he's like, it's a pretty good weekend. Not many guys get a chance to do that. And I said, no, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is pretty good.
I've been fortunate.
And you also went to the East Coast Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah. That was 2 years ago now, I guess.
So what does that mean? Like, is there something up in the actual Toronto Hall of Fame about you being in the East Coast Hall of Fame? Or what does that mean?
I think there's something in there, maybe a jersey or something like that. Or we got a collection of stuff from East Coast, I think. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I mean,
okay.
I went down to the ceremony. We had it. I forget where we had it now. Somewhere in the Wichita or something like that, or one of those places we had the ceremony. And
well, I think being named to Hall of Fames or anything where people get honored after their career's over is it's not just about playing hockey. It's about the person, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't even saying anything nice to you. Wasn't even talking about you.
Yeah.
Said enough nice shit to you already.
I mean, you put your time in like that, and like I said, people think enough of you to give you that honor. It's pretty good, it's pretty special.
I'm still pissed off you never coached anymore.
Pretty fortunate.
I just think it's interesting because of the way you changed my career. And like there was a handful of things that season that stuck with me through my career that really helped me. And I think it's too bad that you didn't do that for more guys, but you won 3 Stanley Cups. So I guess
it's been okay. It's been okay. It's worked out.
Yeah.
But I do think about coaching again someday. I do have my thoughts. I mean, I think the one thing I'd like to do if I did it again was go to the OHL or do that level. Do that level.
You'd be good to teach the kids that young.
Yeah. I think just get them early and get them in, just impress some things on them. And because, I remember getting East Coast League, like guys, you come in, guys from the OHL come in, and they don't know the details, right? And you're coming from good programs, and you expect these kids to be hit, but they just don't have good details and stuff. And you kind of
details are very important, and
yes,
coaching is very important.
Yeah.
No, I had the coach of the kids last year. Like it was just the best time. We went to the All Ontario final tournament, and like from the start of the season to the end. By the end, there was like we had a team that like loved each other and would do anything for each other. And I think they'll be friends for life from a season when we were under 11s,
Yeah. Absolutely.
And we got a bond for life because you work that hard together. You get to the finals like we did in Dayton.
Yeah.
It sticks with you,
You don't forget. Absolutely. You always think back on those kind of years, right? No matter what you're doing.
You lose first round, you're like, that was his fault. That was his fault. And you're all pointing fingers at each other, right?
Yeah. No, things happen during the year, and it just gives you a memory of, what you did in Dayton or what you did somewhere else, and you had a good year. And I mean, like, some of those kids might want to play in the NHL. Some of those U11 kids, you don't know. Well,
it's just interesting because there's like 8 of them now that I know, like they think they're hockey guys. Like deep down, they're hockey guys now. That's what they want to do, and it's cool. But anyways, moving on. Growing up in St. John's, Newfoundland, getting into hockey. How was the hockey scene back then?
It was pretty good. It was pretty competitive back then. I mean, hockey was, wasn't as much. So it was smaller teams, so the talent was pretty good. But it was competitive. It was Catholics against the Protestants back then. Like that's kind of how it was. And I went to an all boys school, like kind of an athletic school. we were used to winning everything, so the pressure to win was always on. Like everyone was trying to beat us, all the other schools, right? So it was really intense growing up. It was great atmosphere, sold out buildings, for high school hockey games and junior hockey games, and it was good. It was good. I mean, but I knew early on for me, I had the itch to I wanted
To
I
go
wanted to
out
go.
there.
And
Yeah.
back then, like for someone to sit like me at that point, only a handful of guys had left Newfoundland to play in the OHL or whatever. There wasn't that many guys. So when you kind of bring it up, you kind of get the old like crazy, like you're not good enough to play out there. Like I just had that itch, and then I got a chance to go, and I did, and never looked back. It's been good.
So, but you played for the St. John's Junior Celtics one year and had
Yeah.
145 points in 38 games.
How'd
What
you
is
find
that?
How'd you find that stuff?
The research team was hot.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a good year that year. It's good.
What is
Yeah.
that? What's St. John's Junior
It's like
Celtics?
junior A. It's like the junior A in Ontario. Like same kind.
Could the other guys skate?
Yes, I had two teammates that had 130 or 120 that year.
Huh.
Sean, Alex Newhook plays in Colorado. His dad and I played together. He had 130 points or something like that. He was a really good player too.
Genetics have
Oh.
nothing to do with it, eh?
No.
Isn't it weird? Like when my research team gets hot and I look
Yeah.
at some of the teams that you were involved with, I see the dads of the guys I played with, or that I
Yeah.
like. There's
Yeah.
so much of the bloodlines in
Yeah.
hockey.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't stray too far. It's a small world, and everything kind of stays pretty tight.
It
That's
does.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do I got then? So you went to the OHL?
I went to camp in Kitchener. I didn't like it. I wasn't ready. I was immature. I think I was homesick, and so I didn't want to stay, and I left and played. I went and played tier 2 in Summerside, maybe I went back to Newfoundland that year. Went to Summerside from there, but it was I didn't. I should have stayed. I should have stuck it out, but the first time away, and I was like 16, I think, and
So there's no pathway to the NCAA at that point from
no,
Newfoundland.
and I didn't know that because I went and played tier 2, thinking I'd go to college, but no. Again, being in Newfoundland, no one had told me
Like
that
that's
rule.
an option, right? Like if
48
then
hour rule.
you went to Kitchener and you blew it.
Yeah.
You
I was
used it
gone.
up.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And I played tier 2, and I was talking to a few schools about going to U.S. college, and then down the process, we found out that I wasn't eligible because I had gone to Kitchener for camp for 3 weeks or whatever.
Because that would have been great, but so you couldn't get the scholarship. That's brutal.
Couldn't do it, so ended up at UPEI.
So you go to the University of PEI.
Yeah.
And your rookie year, you get 56 points in 23 games, and you're the league MVP.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. Great teammates. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a lot of good players on that team. I played with Jerry Fleming. Remember
Jerry Fleming? I feel like I've heard that name.
Yeah, he played in the NHL. Big, tough guy. So our two wingers were, one was 6'4", one was 6'6".
Yeah, I always like that too.
Jerry was like, "Clancy, just go do what you want to do. You're okay." I said, "Okay." Yeah. I'd run around and my little spear here and a slash there and that kind of thing.
See, you did do that. I wasn't wrong in my player review.
No. I had a little.
See, my player review was right. See, you might hire me to be a scout now.
You're pretty good.
You'll just send the kids into the shed for a chat, and I'll tell you exactly what they do.
Straighten them up for me.
Yeah.
Get them online. Yeah.
Yeah. So that year you dominated. Anyways, you go back for year 2. Then did you leave because it was just you needed a challenge? Mid-season. The next season you start with 27 points in 13 games, and you're like, all right, I've ran my muck, time to move on.
Yeah. I'd gone to camp that year with the Islanders after my UPEI year.
And really, that would have been strange from a Canadian university to have a guy come.
I got invited to a couple of camps, and our coach in PEI was Billy McMillan, who had been with the Islanders way back. So he wanted
put in a word for you.
Well, I think it was catch-22. I think I went there, but I think part of that was he kind of set it up where just take him to camp for a few weeks and send him back
and convince him to come back here to play for me.
Feel like, and I had Detroit. I had 2 other places I could have gone, and I went. It was great. Like you coming to pro the first year, my eyes were like was wide open. Like, oh my God, this is like another level, obviously. And so I had a good few weeks there, and then went back to school. And then that year, I had the itch. Then I just like
Yeah.
I wanted to go play. So
Yeah.
I went to Toledo.
Toledo to that.
Yeah.
So that's my first ever professional hockey match. Was no, it wasn't. It was my first East Coast game. Sorry.
Yeah.
I had played in the HL the year before, and then
Yeah.
I get sent down to Daytona Beach, and my first game is in the Toledo Arena.
Yeah.
What
And
a spot, eh?
I mean, you mean like again, you have to experience
It's
that to really appreciate it, right?
and
You'll have that forever. The hover, smoke,
but
sitting on you. I mean, you don't get that everywhere. That's a special night.
you really don't.
No.
It is incredible. And that was to be that my first East Coast experience
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
awesome. The guy with the
Walking.
megaphone, and then
Yeah.
I believe Lane Manson got in a fight near the glass, and there
Yeah.
were fans like trying to swing from
Reach
over the
over.
glass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was taller than the glass. The glass was
Yeah.
short there back then. But I remember even when I played there, when I came back and played there, even walking from the room to get to the bench was an adventure because they were all standing there wanting to punch you or spit on you or kick you or yeah, it took
And
them
then
a
there's
long while
people
to get secured
smoking
again.
darts
Oh
beside the
yeah,
bench.
yeah. A whole layer of smoke on top. Right on top of the glass. Whole layer of smoke, secondhand smoke. Yeah, they love their hockey. They love their hockey there. Passionate.
Which actually that
A
brings up,
small
but
rink too.
it just
Small
brought
rink.
oh yeah.
Small rink.
But it brings back another memory. You may or may not remember this one because you've done a lot worse shit than me by now. But that season, I remember it because it's my rookie year. We're in that Toledo arena. We're on a 5-on-3, and the guy tries to lay on the puck. So I dug at him, like right by his face, right in his guts. I didn't give a shit. It was a 5-on-3. Give me the puck back. Don't lay on it. Anyways, I did that. They didn't like it. Their captain or whatever grabbed me and held my arms behind me. The guy I had been doing that to got up and suckered me. And then I went to the penalty box after we had a line brawl. And my face was all swollen. I took pictures with the fans. It was a good time. But then we played them back to back the next night in Dayton. I went to you before the game. I said, Clance, I'm fighting that guy tonight. And he was like a big defenseman. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
You said, you're going to wait until I tell you it's okay. And I'm like, I'm fighting him tonight. And you're like, you're going to wait till I tell you it's the right time. And I'm like, okay. And that was the first period. And I asked the guy and he was like, not yet. No. And I'm like, whatever. And then the next time I'm like, we're doing this now. And then I just did it. I didn't ask you. I didn't ask.
I mean,
and that was the one time I punched the guy right in the face and he didn't play again the rest of the game.
I didn't want you to fight him. Actually, I was trying to stall you. I was trying to get you out of it. I knew you were pissed off and you wanted to do it. I was trying to get you away from doing it. I'm like, that's not what you're there to do, right?
No, so but I'm pretty sure that's the only fight I ever won.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good memory. So I was trying to, I just didn't want you to do it. I figured like
I thought you were trying to manage the game. Like I only do it if it's this score or that score. And I'm like, dude, I got to do this tonight.
When I went to Toledo my first year, I did the same thing. I was a couple times I wanted to, get involved. And I remember after the game, coach said, call me point. He goes, listen, you're not here for that. We have guys do that. You're not here for that. So just don't worry about it. So I didn't want to tell you not to do it because I think you were justified in wanting to.
I had
100%.
I got punched in the face with my hands behind my back, and
I was kind of hoping someone else would have jumped in for you.
Well, that did happen that year too.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I did something really dirty and the huge guy of the other team's coming to beat me up, and Matt Hernisen came third guy into the fight to save my life?
Ernie was great.
He saved my life, I think, that fight.
Yeah. Ernie's a good team guy.
Yeah,
I enjoyed him too. He was good.
Yeah.
He was good.
Okay.
Always hurt, but he was always in. Yeah.
But when he played, he was going. So anyways, you went to Toledo.
Yeah.
You were doing really well. It looked like the research team saw.
Yeah.
In that little barn. So then you played for 2 more teams that year.
I got traded to Winston-Salem. And I didn't like it down there at all. It was terrible.
I've never even heard of that team, so it couldn't have been good.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it at all. Just never fit in, never felt, it just wasn't good. And then I wanted out of there. So they traded me to Erie, which is worse.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh my God. That
Yeah.
was that
And
was
that
not,
I get it now. So then you're like, this is the East Coast. This is what we're into here.
yeah.
And
I'm
this
like,
is what I left school for.
yeah, that's it.
And
So I'm
then
like,
the
I'm out.
next year, you're like, let's go to Europe.
Let's go to Europe, have some fun.
So you went to Heerenveen
Here in
Flyers?
Maine, here in Maine Flyers, yeah.
And
Yeah,
you ran amok there, eh?
yeah,
72 points, 30 games.
yeah, yeah.
Not
That was
very good
fun.
league or what?
It was like a step below the German league. Like if guys kind of left there, went to the German league, kind of one of those kind of things.
Yeah.
But at the time, I had an agent, Canadian college hockey that always looked for players to go to Europe. So he'd asked me many times. I said no, and then that year I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll go over. I'll just give it a try and see how it is. And,
But you always had it that you wanted to make the NHL, didn't you?
I wanted to play in the NHL. That's what I wanted to do. And like we all think we can get there. And
until you have your exit meeting in Daytona Beach, and the coach is like, "Dude, you're not making it. Go to Europe."
The problem is this. The crushing problem is this: is that we all think we can get there.
Yeah,
and lots of guys are good enough to
we
play.
really want to.
And guys are good enough to get there. They just don't get a chance, you know. And then
No,
the window closes, and it's like there's no point in beating the dog anymore. Just
and I agree.
Else,
and
right?
it's weird because like I think my window was right when I left university, and I went there for that little tryout.
Yeah.
And I hadn't skated in 2 weeks because our season had been over.
Yeah.
We had some fun, and I had no idea what it was going to be like when I got to the AHL. And then they don't even let you use your own sticks. I showed up with power sticks, and they told me to get one off the rack, and I didn't even have the right curve. I had no idea how to shoot, pass, and I'm like, this is the AHL. This is pro hockey.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was my window, though. If I would have gone there and done it those first couple games, it all changes, I think.
You went and played 15 years in the American League and played up or down in the NHL or played in the NHL.
I couldn't have lasted 15 years in the AHL.
Yeah, you could have.
God, there's too many games. Too many big guys, too.
Too much work. Too
many big guys.
There were a lot of big guys.
When I came out of school, it was a circus in the AHL, man.
Yeah. Well, imagine how I went through it.
Yeah, it would have been wild back then,
being
too.
A smile guy, yeah. You had just to survive some nights was like an accomplishment.
So you left Europe, you go back to the Detroit Falcons.
Yeah, that was the end of the year. Yeah, our season ended. So I'd gone home, play another month.
I had that happen when I was in Europe and Germany. I'd come home for the summer and I'd have calls from the East Coast. I'm like, my season's over.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah.
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 Small world hockey thing though, just because I was curious on the research team. When you're with the Detroit Falcons, one of the goalies is Bill Horn, Western Michigan. One of the Western Michigan legends.
Yeah. Do you know Billy?
No, just because he's a Bronco. I saw that. I remembered the name because he's like in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Billy Horn. Yeah. He's a good dude. Actually, I played with him later too. I think in Columbus.
Broncos are always good dudes. I don't know if you do that.
Yeah. They got a good program going there now.
They do now. Yeah. They don't stick on puck. They're not playing man on man.
I know a couple of kids going in there soon. They're going to do really well for them. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I've seen them play a lot last year. I was trying to get a couple of their kids. I was trying to get a couple of their defensemen.
Well, they're the coach they got there. Like he's detailed. They know what they're doing, right? They know what's up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Long pro guy. Yeah. He gets it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, I'm not saying anything bad about anything because the coaches at Western Michigan did really believe in me and gave me every opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, just there's some details I could have used getting into pro.
Yeah.
Could have been more. I could have been more ready, right?
More prepared.
Absolutely. I could have been too, though. It was on me too. You know.
Well, if you don't know.
If you don't know, you don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
if you knew and didn't do it, then it's on you. 100%.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next 4 seasons after the Falcons and the Netherlands, you go to the Columbus Chill. We're not talking Ohio. We're talking Georgia.
Ohio.
Really?
Yeah. Columbus, Ohio. Yeah. It was like a fantastic 4 years. What a city that was.
So that's before the Blue Jackets. So that's their team there.
Yeah. They came in after us. Yeah. And it was full buildings every night. Fans treated you like kings. They loved their team. We were always kind of good teams, but never good enough to win.
And you're there 4 years. You always did well there too, eh?
Yeah. 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 We had a good group. Yeah, we had a mixture. We had toughness. We had skill guys. We had a bit of everything. So
Yeah, and you need that to win. You
yeah,
need everything.
yeah. You just sort of for the skill guys to survive, you got to have some support.
Yeah, you do.
There's some long nights.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Did you know that so Hendo, I posted a picture on Instagram of your thing where you announced for the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
Hendo asked if he thought you might have been spray tanned. He said you looked very tanned in that photo.
No, I live in Arizona.
Oh, you live in Arizona?
I'm a
Jeez.
golfer.
3 Stanley Cups. They'll get you to Arizona. I get it.
I've been in Phoenix for 15 years now. Yep.
Oh dear.
That's
But
home.
Hendo and I, so he was one of the Daytona Beach Bombers, and then I ended my career with him. I never saw him for a decade, and then we played our last 2 years together.
Really?
Yeah, and he
Oh,
in Cardiff, and then he like protected me there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
nobody could touch me there.
How is that league?
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah. It looks. I mean, I've never seen it live.
It's way better that now than like when
Yeah.
I first got to Europe. Its reputation, what
Yeah.
it was, is not what it is now. It is
Yeah.
very, very good hockey now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I think I really started turning when the year I was there. The next 5 years, it just kept progressing, and nowadays they're players there.
You get the you get a pretty good reputation now. Like this, when you see it on TV, you see some highlights and whatever. Like the buildings are full and the fans are in it, and
Oh, it's awesome.
hockey
Did
looks
you
pretty
know they even had a Wally night? They brought me all the way back from here to let me come out on the red
Ah.
carpet. Yeah, that's
good.
how this.
You're a legend.
Well, no, that's just kind of how this all started, though. It reminded me
Yeah.
how much I missed the hockey guy,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
I was in the real world and I missed
Yeah.
that part of my life. I missed the
Yeah.
game. I missed my buddies, and then I thought of doing this.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, that league's awesome. No, the fans are right into it. They're as passionate about their team as any NHL fan.
Yeah. It looks like it. Watching it. Yeah.
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 Anyways, moving on then. Where are we? This Columbus Chill, you never won anything. One
No.
year you had 109 points. No
Yeah.
call-ups. You're just in the
No.
East Coast. That's it.
No. No. And I never even made the All-Star team.
With 109 points.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So those kind of experiences kind of turn you away, right?
Sure does.
At some point you go like, all right. And that's when I shifted into coaching.
You know, it's kind of like when you're in Daytona Beach, right? On a one-way AHL deal.
Yeah.
And Trevor Frischman's going up. Joe Cullen, who's not even on the Syracuse deal, is going up. And I'm sitting there going, well.
Yeah.
Huh.
Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly. And that could have been the coach. Like that's the bad part about that. Like I see it.
They
now,
would have
like,
been asking you, and you would have been like, well, Wally,
No.
he was at
No, they-
Gilly Dobas or whatever it was called last night.
no dialogue with me. I think back then they just did their own thing. I think they just had their own process. But
Is that right?
yeah,
They never asked you about like
maybe they talked to Don. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Don had a
coulda.
relationship, right? But no, but it's sad because like I see it now. There's coaches want like a guy they know and trust versus giving a better skilled player an opportunity.
right.
You want the trust factor, right?
They wanted
And,
the guy they know.
Yeah, a guy they know is playing the fourth line, probably safety. Instead of giving a kid an opportunity to go with the older guy who's a little more experienced, and it's not. Sometimes it's just not right, but that's how the game works. Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It is what
Well,
it is.
and I understand that you.
I went through it too. I
Yeah.
went through it. I looked around, going like, "He's going up. He's going up." And
That's when you're. Yeah. Anyway, it does it. You got to
Yeah.
take a real slice
Yeah.
of humble pie, right?
yeah, it takes a piece out of you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it got me
it's
into
hard,
coaching.
right?
So-
Well, it's hard to.
Yeah,
Like keep showing up every day and have the same attitude when that shit
Yeah.
happens.
yeah, 100%.
Okay, so then you did another year with the Wacko Wizards at the end, right? You finished a year and then went there at the end, or no?
No, I was 25. My second year, my third year in Columbus. The last year I was player assistant coach, and Mo Mantha was our coach. And Mo Mantha was going to the London Knights to coach that team. And I retired after Columbus to go be his assistant coach in London. I was like
Really?
25 years old.
You were
20
you were done because
Yeah.
you're in the coast and you're
Right.
like, well, this
Right.
there's so many
Right.
guys that once you're 25 in the coast, you're like,
Right.
well, this is done.
Yeah. So during that summer, Bo had got the job in the American League in Cincinnati. He left London before he even got started, and I was kind of left like,
With
huh?
nothing.
So I went to Team Canada for a month or a few weeks or a month or so.
The
Played a
team that like
couple of,
traveled around or
yeah,
whatever.
back when they were doing that. Played a couple of tours, like did the old IHL tour and everything. And then a month into that, then it was kind of done for me. And then I wanted to go back to Columbus. They already hired someone else or signed someone else to be a player
Yeah.
coach. So I wanted to get traded, and he wouldn't trade me. And so I went to Waco because Rob Schreiner was a good friend of mine, played in Columbus. He was running the team. Brad Shirley was a good friend of mine. He was the president of that league. So I went down to play in Waco with Rob Schreiner while I waited to get traded. And then so I played, I don't know,
You played a
10,
bit
12.
and then you end
Yeah.
up going back to Columbus
Chesapeake.
the rest of the year.
Yeah, went back and then I got traded to Chesapeake following that. Yeah.
And then you become a player coach. So
Yeah.
you're an assistant player coach or a head
Yeah.
coach?
Assistant. Yeah, our coach is Chris Nyland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2 years.
He's pretty tough, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's tough. What a good man he is.
And he brought you in as the player assistant coach. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, our GM was Mike Mudd. He and Chris brought me in. Columbus traded me there. It was kind of worked out. And then I didn't know Chris. I was growing up watching him on, from Newfoundland, watching hockey in Canada. He's a legend in Montreal, right? So I didn't know what to expect. But I tell you, the defensive part of my coaching, a lot of the first parts of it, he had come from New Jersey, from Lou Lamoriello and Jacques Lemaire, who kind of really brought in the trap originally. And so they knew it. He knew it to a T, and so we did it in Chesapeake. And he really taught me. I mean, I expanded on it a little bit as I evolved as a coach, but just the real basics of
defense.
Patience and don't beat yourself. Let them make the mistakes and be ready to jump when And he was.
I like to call it old man defense.
You
just stay in front of them, right? Like
stay in front of it. Yeah, they can go through you. If you do
that,
they're going to turn it over.
Yeah,
and they do. Right. Yeah.
That's why he used to get so wound up with Hendo, because he had been taught, I'm pretty sure in the OHL, to kill guys in the neutral zone. And he would try and throw the biggest body check you've ever seen. And then if he missed the guy, it was like a breakaway. And
it's totally out of the play.
Yeah.
Energy, totally out of the play. I'm like,
but that's how he had been brought up and how he had learned. And it's like, it's and when it's not the way what you should be doing. And then you got to give him the hard lessons you did that year. Right.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he changed.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
He was awesome.
It's one of my best buddies still.
Yeah.
I just met his 2 kids. He's living in Cardiff now. He married a gal
really?
there. Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. I was just there.
I'll have to keep that in mind if I ever go through Cardiff.
Yeah, you should go check out some young Brits, see what's coming up, eh?
Yeah. I was through London.
Okay. Anyways, I better keep going here with your career. Where are we here? So now you're a player coach. So the head coach is running the practices. You're just being a player then during practice?
No. So that year, Chris really allowed me to be really involved in what we were doing. So,
and you didn't know him before that season. That's cool.
Got to know him through working with him. And then maybe a few months into it, we would talk about practice all the time, game plan, players. Like I was a part of the process of making decisions.
Yeah.
I was playing with these guys. And I would do I would clip the video. He would say, let's work on our 3-on-3 or a down low play or something like that. And he'd say, go get me 9 or 10 clips. And I would go clip the video, bring it in.
Those are busy days then with all the games you're playing too.
Yeah. So I would explain it to him what we're doing.
And you guys clipped video back then, or are you lying to me?
No. Back in VCR, whoop, record, stop, record, stop. Oh yeah. Yeah, old school.
Yeah, it would have been. Fast forward to like, you would have had been like, I remember the play this time of the game, and you'd fast forward to then, right?
Yeah. So I can zip there, clip that little 10 seconds and show it. And yeah, it was kind of, it was different, but he actually taught me a lot. I've given credit. He was hard. He was hard. He was fair. But what a character. What a good
I would
man.
say that's what you were though, hard and fair. That's
Yeah.
like you weren't easy on me that year. I know that.
No, no, but you want to get better, right?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Because I mean, for me, I wanted to get better. I wanted to get out of there too, get back to the American League, right? I'm like,
Well, that was one of the other times was I showed up to a practice like smelling like Paul Kelly, and
yes,
I remember we were doing some drill at the end of practice, and I went in and I was just goofing around and kind of fucked around and didn't really try to score or whatever I was doing,
yeah,
and then you're like, you called me over, and it was just me and you away from everybody else, and you said, "You show up to practice like this, you're never gonna get out of this league."
yeah,
And you were right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you just can't do it, right? I mean,
No.
it's hard. It's hard
Because how
hard.
frustrated you get, and you get sent
Absolutely.
down there, and you see the other guys getting called up, and
Yeah,
you're like, I
absolutely.
just want to just go
Go get
have a
ripped.
few today.
Go get
Yeah.
ripped and just absolutely. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. I mean, believe me, there's nights when I wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah.
so it's just, but you just gotta. It is what it is.
That year would have been tough for you.
Yeah, tough for everybody.
Well, yeah. When you yeah. It was, but we went to the
Yeah.
finals and almost won it all.
Yeah.
Wild. Okay. So then let's see here. So player coach wasn't that hard that you're being a coach with guys you're making decisions on? Because I would find as a teammate, I would have a hard time, but I always like held people accountable and told them what I thought. But I guess you'd probably be able to decide who's your line mates and shit too, eh? How you're running the power play.
Yeah, I had a little.
Or did you have the half wall? Let me guess. You had the half wall.
I had the half wall.
Yeah,
half
you
wall.
did.
A half wall on one side, top half wall or goal line. I think we had, but
Right.
I had a little say in how that went. But I mean, I let Chris do that stuff. I mean, like I still had to play with those guys, so you gotta draw
Balance
some
it.
line. But
Yeah.
I don't think they had any idea I was as involved as I was.
Right.
Process.
They would just leave for the day and you'd be still at the rink.
I'd still there. Or I'd go meet Chris back at his place or whatever. We do work there or whatever. But no, it was good.
Where is Chesapeake?
It's just outside of Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right in Piney Orchard, Maryland. It's right in between.
Like by Annapolis.
Yeah, yeah.
Been to a couple weddings there. Ran amok in that town.
The Caps would skate at 10 and we'd skate at noon. Pretty good.
Oh, that sounds like a good setup.
Yeah, it's a good setup. Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
So you were there for 2 years. Was he the coach both years?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then you do that for 2 years and you're still scoring and doing your thing, eh?
Yeah. I had a good year. I played with Danny Felsner, my winger, one of my winger. I had good guys down here to play with too. Like I had tough guys. We had everything there too, but I played with Danny Felsner for 2 years. And Danny was like maybe the most talented guy I ever played with. Played in the NHL for St. Louis, Star at Michigan. Or maybe we should stay. I think Michigan, but just no business being in the East Coast League.
Yeah,
but he was getting paid a boatload of dough and
had a good time.
He rode shotgun with me. He made my life a lot easier. Yeah,
and playing with good players matters. Getting a chance with good players matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then your last year of playing hockey, okay?
Yeah.
79 points in 70 games. Yeah. And then in the playoffs, you have 9 and 8.
Yeah.
I always was curious about guys like that because playing's more fun than doing the other shit. And you could still do it and do it well.
Yeah. That summer, the team moved from Chesapeake to Jackson. Our team.
Oh, that's the same team then.
Yeah, same team moved.
I was wondering why you switched to the Jackson Bandits and didn't play. Okay, that's the same team.
Yeah. So I want to say I was 30, 29 or 30, I think. And at that point, I wanted to coach because I knew playing thing wasn't going to happen. So I wanted to coach, and then I was going to go to Pensacola that summer, play in Pensacola. I'll do that for a couple of years. Play in Florida, really.
So, fun fact is after the Dayton year, Don McAdam called me to play in Dayton again. I'm like, sorry, like I'm an East Coast free agent. There's zero chance I'm going back to Daytona Beach. Yeah. And then Pensacola, I knew a guy that was going there. reached out, and then I signed to go to Pensacola because I was saying I'm in the East Coast. I may as well enjoy where I live.
Live on the beach. Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I was going to do that, and the team moved. Mike Mudd, our GM, called me, said that the ownership needed looking for a coach in the GM kind of thing, or hockey operations, whatever they called it back then. And Chris wasn't going to go, Jackson. So he said, do you want to do it? And I was like, absolutely. So I jumped right in, and
Head coach, and you're there.
I was
4
probably a little
years.
over my head when I started, but jump in and figure it out, right? Trying to get it out.
And you're only 29 or 30, and you're a head coach of the East Coast.
Yeah. And it was new team in Jackson, Mississippi, trying to get that thing started, explain it, and that was quite a year. That's the only year. My first year as a coach. You're doing so many things besides actually hockey. It's the only year that I can remember, except for last year, which I don't count, I joined the team in mid-year, but in my life that I never made the playoffs. That first year.
Oh,
we missed on the last.
That's day. Quite the stat.
We missed the last day of the season, or last week of the season. We're like 500 or around 500, but we missed on the last weekend. It's the only time in my life since Adam, Pee Wee, Bantam, all that stuff, not playing in full season.
Yeah. Jeepers. That's pretty impressive, though.
And I haven't forgotten it.
I understand. You're quite competitive.
It still burns me. Yeah.
I just brought back another memory for me. I remember this one, too, because it was also true. We were in the finals. We were on the power play or something, and I screwed up. Like, it was a game in Idaho. I screwed up. I turned the puck over on the power play, and it got iced down, and I changed. And I said to the boys, I'm like, I'm sorry about that. And you're like, you could be fucking sorry when the season's over. Nobody gives a shit. You're sorry right now. And I was like, he's so right. I need to be better right now.
Yeah. Sorry. Take your sorry and stuff it. We're trying to win the hockey game.
Yeah, exactly. I remembered that. It's true though.
Yeah.
Be better. you know?
Be better. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we have a lot in common now. That's why I like you so much, but it's true. Okay, so then after 4 years of Jackson, so how good did you get after missing the playoffs the first year?
I think we were like first 1 year, second, third, or fourth, but we're always like I think we led the league in goals against for two of those 3
No way.
3 years.
Really?
Yeah.
You coaching and you led to the league in goals against.
I strapped it right down. Yeah.
No between the legs, no spinneroonies, nothing.
Defensively. Guys competed. And actually, Jackson was a great city. It was great. You wouldn't think it would be. Like but it was a great city. Weather was great. People were great.
So at that level, though, I mean, back then, did it not matter who the owner is, how much money he's giving you to sign players, of how good you can be?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
and we had 2 wealthy owners, so
that was all good.
They were very generous with what do you need.
And it's pretty awesome. Like at a 30-year-old, they're tasking you with all that, right?
No, it was a great learning experience. I mean, you get mad at the East Coast at times. You get frustrated because some of the things that you experience, you go through. Some of the little petty things you go through, you're like, oh my God, are you serious? But when you reflect on the learning experience that you get by being thrown into the fire, it's invaluable. You can't put a price on it.
No, yeah. Well, you got to go through the hard times, right?
You're doing it all by yourself,
times.
Right?
Yeah.
You're doing it all by yourself. I mean,
that's kind of like how the UK league was when I went over there. We had a player coach who was doing all this shit himself, Andrew Lord. And I don't know if you ever heard the name, but this guy, other than you, was my other best coach. And he was incredible. His details. He taught me a handful of things like you did that I couldn't believe. Like I was like, I can't believe I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a pretty smart hockey mind and like ran power plays and like I thought I was a smart hockey guy. And then when somebody would just say something so simple to me, and I'm like, I'm 32 years old. How the hell did I not think of that yet? You know?
I still have those days.
You gotta have those days, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot in my shed now, but usually it's not about the hockey talk that I learn shit. Okay, so 4 years, Jackson. We got to speed things up. You've had a long
Yeah.
career, hey?
Yeah.
You probably
Yeah.
got places to go, things to do.
Yeah. Go to bed. Tired.
Jeepers.
I'm
Okay,
old.
you're not that old. Look how fit you are. Still in NHL shape. Okay, Jackson, 4 years. Then you go to the Reading Royals. I know you liked your time there. I remember talking to you about it when we were in Dayton.
Yeah.
You were fond of your time there, and I think you guys did pretty well, didn't you?
Yeah, it was great. They had a great setup there. They had a great building. They treated the players great. They ran it like an American League team, which is the way it should be done. Like they had money and they spent it on the players and invested in
Is
what
that
they
what you
needed.
mean by it? It was like an American League that they were trying to make it a good place to be and live.
And when I was there, I had LA owned half the team, LA Kings. So I had that affiliation in Manchester, and I had the Hershey Bears affiliation. So I was loaded with NHL or American League loaded contract players, and it was hard juggling some of that, but it was a constant trying to, because one day Thursday afternoon you get the phone call, 5 guys are going to Hershey. You're like, you got 3-3 coming up, and you're trying to find players, and but just how they treated everybody, and city wasn't that great to live in, but the hockey and everything was good. I mean, they ran it like to me like it should be. You should run a hockey team at that level.
Right. And that's important. I think that's very important is running it the right way and giving people what they need to do their jobs, like sticks and stuff.
Yeah. Actual team bus, your own team bus, all that kind of stuff.
Nice. Those things. So then those 2 years, didn't you do pretty well? You lose in the semis or something in Florida? I think
in the semis, semis. I think semis both years maybe or quarter. Yeah. Well, I mean, they had struggled. Not that I want to say it was ego in their help, but
wasn't
they had struggled. They had struggled for 2 years, I think, before I got there, 2 or 3 years, and they were like 7,000 people a night in the building, and they were like a bottom team.
Jeepers.
And so when I went in there, we went playoffs both years. I won the division or something. I can't remember now, but
so then you did well there, and then that's how you move up and join the AHL team in Manchester.
Yeah, so I went to Manchester as an assistant. I look back on that, and even though I enjoyed it, Jimmy Hughes was the coach, and he and I worked together. And Jimmy was a good man, really detailed and intense too. Learned a lot from him. And I look back now and I wonder. I interviewed for the head job. I didn't get it. Jimmy got it. Jimmy had been there as an assistant in Manchester for years. And I look back now and wonder if I should have stayed as a head guy in Reading and waited a little longer. Yeah. Reading was good. It was a good place to be, like coaching wise. Trenton and Reading were the two places where all the players wanted to be. If you weren't,
because that's where the call-ups are and all that, right?
Right. So you're getting all the good players. You didn't have to chase any good. I'd be turning players away that I'd be dying for coaching in Dayton or coaching in Jackson. And I was saying I haven't got room for you. I'm sorry. So that part of it was great, but I look back. That's the moment where I think if I had to stay another year or two, I wanted to get out of the East Coast League. I had enough of it. If I had stayed, I wondered if that would have changed my coaching direction. If I hadn't got a head job in the American League, no waiting long enough.
Well, and like this, I don't know how this sounds, but I think you're more of a head coach than an assistant coach.
Yes. I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
I agree.
That's just the mentality. Yeah. It's how I'm wired. Yep.
No. And like you want it to be done your way or the right way or what you think is the right way. Right.
Yeah. So that got me into scouting. That directed me into scouting eventually, like years later.
So you did the 2 years, Manchester, you do the 1 year, and then whatever happens, you end up in Daytona Beach, Ohio.
Yeah. So Lombardi got hired in LA.
And brings in his guys.
He hired Ron Hextall after that to run Manchester. They pretty much just fired everybody, just cleaned it right out.
Well, speaking of Ron Hextall,
it kind of happened later in this. Yeah.
Philly was going to sign me, and then I guess he saw me play one college game, and I was so bad, he told his scouts they were all stupid, and we're not signing him.
Well, he fired me too, so hey, maybe it's him.
Maybe.
Yeah. let's say it's him.
It's
Can't be
him.
us. It's got to be him.
Can't be him.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay. That's what happened to me though. I remember
Yeah.
the game. I was brutal that game. I remember him standing up there on the other side of the arena. Couldn't handle it. You know?
Pressure. Could deal with the pressure.
Couldn't deal with it.
Yeah. Young guy then.
Yeah. So, anyways, Dayton was quite the year, quite the place to live. We'll move on. Hey?
Yeah. Yeah.
We almost did it. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you joined Pittsburgh. I'm trying to think of what other questions I got. So you don't remember any of your big finds of like you drafted a guy.
Well, back then I was
like you really stuck your neck out like, hey, this is a guy we need.
Yeah. I mean, my time in Pittsburgh, I was mainly doing the pro stuff, right? So I was doing the free agents and trades. I was a part of that process, getting our team and together that way with our group of guys. And yeah, I mean, there's times where you stand up in the room and you go like, no, this is the guy.
Yeah,
gotta have. But I mean, at the end of the day, I still feel it's a collective effort. Like
everybody's doing it together.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say it was me. I mean, there's times when I did that. There's times when other guys did the same thing, different guy. But I mean, it's a lot of work goes into that. A lot of background. A lot of work goes into the behind the scenes.
I can't imagine the prep work, all the detail, all the research that goes into doing a draft.
Yeah.
All that shit, eh? Like free agency, the drafts. Oh, it's a lot of work, eh?
Yeah, everyone's got a part of it. Absolutely.
And you made the time to come to my shed tonight. That just warms my heart. But okay, here's a question for you, because you gave up the coaching to get into scouting.
Yeah.
Do you miss the relationships with the players like you had as a coach compared to a scout?
Absolutely.
Like each season, you really get to know some guys, right? And then there'll be a couple of them that you really take a shine to, right?
Yeah. No, there's friendships that you never forget. You know what I mean? There's ones that you want to forget. There's some that you never forget. And the coaching that relationship being in the action with the players on the bench, that burn never goes away. You're invested as a scout, but it's
different
because you're not there in practice.
Yeah, and you're watching you're watching it from up in the air, right? 1,000 miles away, and you're watching their career instead of each game.
As a coach, you're picking your team apart. Like, why are we doing that? But you can't do that, right? But it's just how you are. It's how you're wired. But yeah, I mean, like you miss the putting the time in every day and watching a guy get better. Like as a coach, when you're watching a guy get better as a player and develop, and that's very
There's
gratifying.
Nothing better, man.
Yeah, it's so gratifying as a coach when you see someone buy in, do the work, and then they get rewarded later. You know what I mean, for developing and evolving as a player. I mean, sit down and say, hey, by the way, you're going to the NHL today.
Well, and it's crazy for me because back in the day in hockey, there were coaches that wanted to hold guys back for their own personal to do better for themselves. Where the real hockey guys, they want to tell people, "You're going up. You earned it. You did it."
Yeah. I mean, and plus, I always believe for me, if you promote players, you get better players.
Because they'll tell all their friends, look at what they did for me.
It's a message, right? And
instead of Fordo and Dayton saying, I got called up to the HL and they told them I didn't want to go when I really did.
Yeah, no, I remember that conversation because they called me first and I said, yep, no problem. I think we were on the bus going to a game. I got the call first. And I said, absolutely. We're on our way somewhere. We're flying out of
wherever,
Scranton or wherever we were going the next day. I said, but Don's running the team, and like I don't have the authority to say go ahead. And then it went off the rails after that.
Well, I went off the rails one time too.
I got stuck in the middle of it.
There was one with me where we went to Reading.
Yeah.
We had played somewhere on the Friday night. We go to Reading for a pregame skate on the Saturday. We're going to play Saturday night and Sunday with Dayton.
Yeah.
The Saturday morning, I get called up to Syracuse. I've been waiting to get called up all season. They
Yeah.
finally called me up after a Friday game. The Saturday morning, I go to Syracuse, and Don says, "You get to go up tonight, but I've already told them I have to have you back for Sunday afternoon." And I was like, I've been waiting all season to go up to the HL. I finally get the call up, and you're telling me I have to go back to the East Coast
Yeah.
Sunday afternoon because you don't have enough players. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
finally got called up. I went up
Yeah.
to that game. I played like 4 shifts, and I was so
Yeah.
pissed off. And the
Yeah.
Syracuse team had the night off or the next day
Yeah.
off. So they all went
Yeah.
out. I went out.
Yeah.
I rode the mechanical bull, strained my hamstring, and I came back to Dayton the next day and got second star. And I was like,
Yeah.
what a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, that should never happen. I didn't know that happened. That was new. That was new to me.
I
was- that
remember
was-
it. I
that
strained my
wasn't-
hamstring. I remember I remember it's happened to me. You came in the
Yeah.
locker room, you're like, well, you tired today? It was Sunday afternoon. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there going, I don't know if I can play.
Yeah.
And you're like, how many shifts did you get yesterday? And I'm like, 3 or 4, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I flew all the way there, flew all the way back, and I'm here
Yeah.
for Sunday afternoon. And I
Yeah.
was so rattled.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's what part of the game that just sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
yeah. But
Anywho.
Yeah.
But the one thing I got one more thing before we shut her down. I don't think there's that much to talk about being a scout, is there?
no,
No.
lots of work, hotels, planes.
Yeah.
don't
One of
care.
my guys was on Pittsburgh though, just so you know, when you've been there all those years, won a couple cups with you. He's the guy that when I moved back home and I'm out of the game, let me come to a Penguins Leafs game. I got to go down. He brought me a signed Penguins hat for my kid and met
Oh.
some of the players. Tom Kuhnhackl,
Tommy Kuhnhackl. I know him.
Landshut, Germany.
Oh,
I played there. He was
Tommy
a
Kuhnhackl.
young punk there back then.
He's back there now, I think.
He played in Sweden last year.
I think he's back there now. Oh, maybe Sweden. Yeah. I saw his name the other day somewhere. He's back in Germany, maybe Switzerland or somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but he was one of those nice guys that brought me and my son down to meet some of the players after a game. Good dude.
Tommy's a good man. He was a good player. But it's one of those things where he really fit with Pitt. Like he really fit structure. And He understood it. He scored like 60 goals in junior. And he came in and came over a checker.
Yeah.
And he was really good. Scored some big goals for us, and then got away from Pitt. I think we couldn't agree on a contract. I think what happened. He went somewhere else for a little more money, and then
It just
Pitt just didn't work, and
Yeah.
he never found it again. Now he's back in Europe.
No, I know. And I think if he probably could have replayed it, he would have taken the Pitt deal and
Mhm.
stayed there instead of
A little less. Yeah. Absolutely.
But I know this sounds ridiculous, but we haven't seen each other since 2007.
Yeah.
And I it's brought back a lot of memories.
Yeah.
The last one I'm going to remember, because it's kind of how I live and it's how I do like the real world now, is like we were in Florida. We lost a game, and that was that series we ended up winning.
Yeah.
And we had a chat after the game, which we didn't talk that much, but
Yeah.
I was like, Clance, I wasn't good enough tonight. I need to be better. And you're like, well, if we're going to win this series, you have to be better.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, he's right again. Fuck, I'm out of here. Okay. And then I left for the day. Right. And then you know, you were honest, hard, but that's what guys need. If you're not good enough, tell
you're
the guy.
you're one of our key players. So if your best players aren't your best players,
You can't
not
win.
going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So you and Teef, all those guys. I mean, you had to bring it.
Oh yeah.
Or we wouldn't score. You know what I mean?
No, and
So,
it was a hell of a run. It's one of those ones you look back on. It's like the group we had and what we did. It's like it took special people to get through that year and to get to where we did.
Yeah, no, it's one of those years. I look back on it and I kind of cringe. I cringe sometimes. Then at the end of it, I smile because of where we started, where we ended up. You know, I mean, we almost pulled the thing off.
Well, and it's like your career, right? Like
Yeah.
you look at how it started to where it went, and you almost cringe at the start.
Yeah.
And then you see 3 Stanley Cups by the end and where you're at now.
Yeah, no, it's I've been extremely fortunate. I've had lots of ups and downs like we all do. I've had some good people kind of like hang in there. Lots of times I wanted to quit and do something else, but I stuck it out, and like I said, I've adjusted my goals as I went. The goal was the NHL. That was my goal as a kid. Never got there as a player or a coach, but I got there, and I just kind of just stuck to it. And knock on wood, I got some more time left before it's all over.
Well, I think the hockey world, though, is the good guys keep going up, and the competitive guys, the good guys, keep going up. And if you're not a good guy and you're not trustworthy, it's hard for people to buy in. But it's also you got to know some people too, right? Like, there are some breaks along the way, but like for who you were, what you did for me that season, it changed my whole career. The exit meeting, being honest with me of where I was at. I know I wasn't going to play the NHL. I know I didn't have the body for it. I think I missed my window when I left college, not being prepared and not knowing where I was at. But then you took the time to teach me the D zone and all the other intangibles I needed to learn how to win in pro hockey. And I took that with me, you know?
Well, that's good. I mean, and credit to you for doing it. A lot of guys on AHL deals would be like, eat it. I'm going to play somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
So credit to you that you actually bought in and put the time in, and you found the benefit from it.
Well, I did, and like, no, I like the way you did things. I think it'd be cool someday if you get back into the coaching world.
It might happen someday. We'll see.
You know, but you're doing pretty well with what you're doing, so you might want to stick with that too. I think it'd be kind of cool if you're the head GM of somewhere too now, right? Like,
that'd be.
I know you're not always that okay with being second.
That would be a great. If I could ever get that goal accomplished someday, that would be tremendous.
Yeah, and I think you should. I mean, I couldn't be a bigger supporter. I know I haven't talked to you since 2007, but it's nice to finally get to tell you this shit.
Yeah. You guys were great for me because you guys kept me around, right?
Well, and
I would have gone home.
You would have gone elsewhere. I sometimes I think about, well, today I was thinking about, because we were going to chat, was like, that year must have been hard for a guy in his 30s that's there dealing with the shit that was going on. And like, we were having a hard time in the part of life we were at. And like that you stuck with it, that you grinded it out, that you got to where you're at now, and you won 3 Stanley Cups. I think it's really cool. And I think it took special people to get where we did that year. And you were the one in charge. And look at where you're at now. It all makes sense.
It's all worked out. Thanks to you guys. It was all you guys.
I'm very lucky that you were my rookie coach, because I needed someone to teach me the shit you taught me to get, you know.
Good. That's good.
It's the way the shed works now. That's how I can have a podcast, folks, is because this was my coach my rookie year. And this has been another episode of 2 Ales and Hockey Tales with Clancey and Wally.